Hey everyone! The FBI just discovered a secret tunnel beneath Alcatraz, and what they found has stunned the whole world. Could this discovery completely change everything we thought we knew about this notorious prison? If you think this is amazing, drop a 1 in the comments. If not, leave a 0. Don't forget to enjoy the video and hit the subscribe button to support the channel. Let's get started. Alcatraz, a name tied to the most dangerous criminals and a bloody history. But have you ever wondered if this place holds deeper secrets we've never known? Imagine Alcatraz not just as a harsh prison, but as the center of secret operations, espionage plots, and missions only insiders truly understand. Since its establishment, Alcatraz has been considered the end of the road for the most dangerous criminals. As a high-security prison, it offered almost no privileges for inmates. The facility itself was a technical and security marvel, featuring a main building with 4 cell blocks, a dining hall, a hospital, a library, and administrative offices. The cells were small, cold, and made of uncuttable steel. Inmates were searched up to 13 times a day, and the guard-to-inmate ratio was the lowest in the country. Security was enhanced with metal detectors, tear gas, and guards in high watchtowers. Any privileges such as work, visitation, or even speaking during meals required approval, making life at Alcatraz not only strict, but also psychologically intense. New discoveries, mysterious tunnels, and top-secret documents have just been revealed, pulling back the curtain on a completely different, darker, and more chilling story about Alcatraz Island. Could everything we thought we knew about this place be just the tip of the iceberg? Behind the glamorous history and famous tales of America's most notorious prison lie secrets never before exposed and dark stories never told. Let's explore these haunting mysteries together, because once you know the truth, you'll never look at Alcatraz the same way again. The cold wind from San Francisco Bay blows sharp and relentless, creating an atmosphere both mysterious and tense, as if the island still holds untold horrors within its depths. Tourists stroll casually past Alcatraz, snapping photos of rusted cells and weathered walls, seemingly just historical relics, a closed chapter of the past. But deep inside, behind locked steel doors, a series of secrets are being uncovered by workers. Secrets that could completely change the way we understand Alcatraz. During the expansion and renovation of the museum, what seemed like routine work suddenly took a mysterious turn when they stumbled upon a wall that didn't match any of the original blueprints on record. This wall concealed a narrow gap, as if hastily and secretly constructed to hide something meant to remain unseen. Some bricks around the area were loose, showing signs of unauthorized and mysterious tampering from the past. When the false wall was removed, a shocking sight appeared. A dark, deep tunnel descending far underground, untouched by light or fresh air for decades. What astonished many even more was that this tunnel was completely absent from any plans, blueprints, or detailed documents related to Alcatraz prison. Initially, many assumed it was just an abandoned maintenance tunnel or part of an old drainage system from the prison's construction. But the truth went far beyond those assumptions. As soon as the discovery was reported to the authorities, the federal government immediately launched an investigation, with the FBI taking over the case at an unprecedented level of seriousness. Through deeper inquiries, Agents realized that the tunnel was not merely an old, neglected structure, but was constructed with advanced, robust engineering. Reinforced with sturdy steel and protected by multiple layers of heavy barriers, it became clear that this was not part of the prison's original design, but a secret, deliberate construction built to serve undisclosed purposes. With each step deeper into the tunnel, the atmosphere grew heavier and more tense. The tunnel's interior design completely defied all known prison structures and security layouts. It twisted and turned through a series of narrow, eerily silent chambers, intricately arranged to be completely isolated from the rest of the prison above ground. Each small room appeared to serve a special purpose, not for ordinary confinement, but likely as a secret hideout, transit point, or even a covert research facility. As the investigation deepens, strange traces and vague clues about secret activities inside Alcatraz gradually come to light, prompting the FBI and historians to raise a series of puzzling questions. Who built this tunnel? What was its real purpose? And most importantly, why have these secrets been kept hidden for so many decades, right under the noses of outsiders? If you find this story fascinating, please like the video to support us in creating more exciting content. Share this video with your friends if you want them to be equally shocked by this mind-blowing discovery. And of course, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any videos in the future. This journey of discovery not only reveals unseen shadows of Alcatraz prison, but also opens a new, mysterious, and thrilling chapter in American history. A secret that could completely rewrite the story of the notorious prison, causing people to see the island not just as a symbol of punishment, but as a dark, enigmatic, and conspiratorial part of the past. There was no light, no functioning ventilation system, and no clear signs that this place had been used regularly. When FBI agents finally reached the end of the main tunnel corridor, they were stopped by a heavy iron door firmly embedded into a solid stone wall. Though covered with thick rust over the years, the door showed no signs of forced entry or violent tampering. The industrial-grade hinges fit perfectly into the surrounding stone, as if designed to last forever and prevent anyone from easily opening it. Just before opening the door, an indescribable sense of unease settled over the agents. The air felt thick with an eerie silence, heavy as if the door had been sealed and hidden away in darkness for decades, completely cut off from the outside world. What stunned everyone even more was the fact that this tunnel did not match any historical events, documents, or official records related to Alcatraz. Preliminary studies showed that this section of the tunnel was not constructed in the 1930s or 1940s, the period when Alcatraz operated as a federal prison. Instead, material analysts discovered serial numbers on the steel components of the tunnel dating back to the early 1920s, meaning this section of the tunnel was built even before Alcatraz officially became a federal prison in 1934. A great mystery emerged. Who built it and for what purpose? This unanswered question has left historians and investigators puzzled and intrigued. Furthermore, there are no reports or records indicating that the tunnel was ever used in any of Alcatraz's famous escapes, particularly the iconic 1962 breakout by Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers. which is considered one of the most daring prison escapes in U.S. history. No inmate has ever mentioned or rumored the existence of such an elaborate and secret tunnel. This suggests that very few, if any, knew about its existence, or perhaps there was a force that deliberately kept this secret tightly hidden for decades. What's even more chilling is that this tunnel is not just a simple passageway or a hastily constructed project. Its construction quality far exceeds normal standards, showing exceptional craftsmanship and clear signs of deliberate concealment. Multiple thick stone walls, densely packed earth around it to muffle any sound, all indicating a carefully planned and meticulously executed operation. The designers of this tunnel clearly intended not only to escape, but also to ensure that no one could detect or trace their tracks. As authorities began to take a closer look, suspicions surrounding secret activities during the Cold War era grew increasingly complex. Alcatraz's strategically crucial location allowed control and surveillance over vital shipping routes, movements within San Francisco, and important military corridors. If the tunnel was indeed built before 1934, it's highly possible that it was used by intelligence units, covert organizations, or for top-secret security projects during that period. Although some national archives mention private construction projects on Alcatraz in the 1920s, the information is very limited, leaving a mysterious gap filled with unanswered questions. From this point, a new theory began to take shape, drawing the attention of investigators and historians alike. It's possible that this tunnel was not built for escape or prisoner transport. Instead, it may have been constructed by non-inmates, shadowy forces or groups needing a secret refuge, hidden away from the outside world. Some speculate it could have served as a weapons cache, a hub for illicit operations, or even a base for covert government activities or intelligence organizations during tense times. Though it sounds like a plot from a movie, the tunnel's layout and design are far from being a rushed patchwork project. Every detail was crafted meticulously and precisely down to the millimeter. This was certainly not a hasty excavation or makeshift construction, but a carefully planned endeavor with ample time, resources, and skilled labor. This suggests that powerful individuals or organizations were likely aware of its existence, or at least tacitly permitted its construction without detection. For decades, no one had mentioned this tunnel. No maintenance crew or staff member had ever accidentally discovered it, and no prisoner or witness had stumbled upon it. It was like a ghost, an invisible secret, absent from any story or record related to Alcatraz. And when the FBI agents saw it for the first time, it wasn't just the tunnel's strange nature that shook them, but the deeper implications behind it. They couldn't help but feel both baffled and under immense pressure. This tunnel wasn't part of any known escape plan or official construction. It was a buried piece of history, sealed in thick concrete and left to decay within one of the most secure prisons in the United States. But now, that secret had been brought to light, and what they discovered could completely change our understanding of Alcatraz, a place once known solely as a strict and impenetrable prison. Behind the rusted steel door, an unknown room revealed chilling clues that sent shivers down everyone's spine. Could this be Alcatraz's darkest, most deeply buried secret? As the agents stepped through the threshold, they had no idea of the horrors and shocking truths that awaited them. Opening the rusted steel door was no easy task. The agents had to use professional welding tools to cut through the thick, corroded metal, each creaking sound echoing through the silence. And when the door finally gave way, they stepped into a space long forgotten, sealed nearly intact for decades. Inside the room, everything remained untouched, as if time had stopped there. Items were arranged carefully, deliberately. Yellowed document boxes lined the walls, their contents, worn and brittle with age, fluttering in the air with each draft slipping through a small crack. In the corner, a crude radio system sat perfectly intact, as if no one had ever disturbed it, waiting, it seemed, for someone to use it once again. On a simple, makeshift table, hand-drawn maps were laid out. The lines were uneven and curved, depicting the flow of the bay around Alcatraz and key maritime routes. The edges of the maps had curled with time, giving them a sense of age and mystery. All these details turned the room into a hidden treasure trove, filled with stories, conspiracies, and secrets never before revealed about one of the most heavily guarded places in American history. And now, as that secret begins to surface, the world will be forced to look at Alcatraz through an entirely different lens. Not just as a prison, but as a symbol of intrigue, secrecy, and unexplored darkness. But perhaps the most unsettling detail was the 3 old CS chairs tucked into a corner of the room. They weren't discarded carelessly. They were neatly arranged, suggesting they had been used regularly over a long period of time. This may have been a shelter for someone who stayed there for months, if not longer. And then there were the clocks. 2 of them, both stopped exactly at 2:17 a.m., motionless and covered in a thick layer of dust. Why 2:17? Was it a coincidence, or was someone trying to send a message? The stillness of the room made it feel as though these clocks were more than just instruments for telling time. They might mark the moment something happened, or is about to happen, a signal, perhaps even a warning. An anonymous FBI agent quoted in later leaked memos recalled the eerie nature of the discovery. "Whatever was going on here, we were ready," the agent said, emphasizing the tension that filled the air. This wasn't just a forgotten room, it resembled a command center, an operation long abandoned but seemingly still prepped for a specific purpose. So was this a hidden escape route for a high-profile figure, or something darker, more deeply rooted? Perhaps a secret Cold War-era military operation erased from official records. Whatever it was clearly not a discovery to be taken lightly. Forensic experts were quickly dispatched to the scene, prepared to uncover what remained of this shadowy past. The FBI's investigation dug deeper into the strange clues found in the abandoned room. They began analyzing the air, materials, and any remaining fingerprints. What they uncovered was baffling. Some of the materials dated back to 1959, while others were even older, bearing traces of a more distant past. These items weren't random trash. They had been deliberately arranged, each one telling its own story. But the most shocking discovery was the presence of CIA-grade encryption tools from the 1960s. These weren't the kind of tools you'd stumble upon easily, and certainly not in a place like Alcatraz. What were such sensitive pieces of intelligence equipment doing in a long-forgotten room beneath one of the most infamous prisons in history? As the investigation continued, more and more questions began to surface. These tools suggested that whoever used them wasn't just involved in typical escape attempts, but had participated in covert activities far beyond the reach of ordinary security agencies. These encryption devices weren't meant for regular communication. They were used in espionage operations. Could the guards have been involved in some secret plan? Or had the prisoners collaborated with intelligence agencies, setting up a system right under the noses of those seemingly in control? And was it possible that other powerful forces with vast resources and influence had been manipulating events within the walls of Alcatraz? The presence of these coding tools suggests a new theory. Perhaps the tunnel wasn't just a path for a prison break. Maybe it was an access point for something far more significant. Perhaps the goal wasn't to get out, but to bring something inside. The CIA isn't the only one using encryption. Governments, criminal organizations, and private operatives could have been pulling strings behind the scenes, manipulating events in ways no one could predict. Was Alcatraz a testing ground, a staging area, or even a secure drop point for espionage? And if so, who was really in control? The government, or someone with their own covert agenda, like the Warden's Operation Shadow? For decades, Alcatraz has been known for its infamous prisoners. But is there something more secretive happening beneath its cold, dark exterior? Recently declassified documents from 1978 revealed a program called the Warden's Shadow Project. This was a psychological deterrence program run by the Department of Justice, with indirect oversight from the CIA, aimed at manipulating and controlling high-risk prisoners. But when new information emerged, some began to suspect that the secret tunnel might have been a key part of this hidden project. The program's goal was not only to control the prisoners, but also to test them under extreme psychological pressure, using them as unwitting subjects in covert activities. Notably, Alcatraz is located in a strategically important position. Although isolated from the mainland, it is close to important maritime transport routes. For many years, it was considered the ideal location to incarcerate criminals. But what if the strategic importance of the island was concealed from the public? If the FBI's theories are correct, the tunnel could have been a secret escape route built by insiders. People who knew about the government's contingency plans in case of a national emergency. If this tunnel truly belonged to the Warden's Shadow Project, then its careful concealment, never appearing in any escape attempts or prison blueprints, becomes more understandable. The tunnel might not have only been used by prisoners, but also by high-ranking agents, ensuring they could leave the island quickly if necessary, in emergency situations or when covert operations required swift and discreet movement. Now, the lack of a clear conclusion has sowed doubt, sparked curiosity, and opened up a story larger than the prison itself. To this day, the 1962 escape remains not just a historical event, it has become a significant milestone in the legend of Alcatraz. The question of whether those men survived or perished is still an unsolved mystery. The only certainty is that their disappearance shattered the invincible image of the Rock in the minds of the American public for decades. It is this crack that allowed the legend to spread and seep deeply into the prison's history. Frank Lee Morris was not an ordinary prisoner. He was a highly intelligent criminal with exceptional strategic thinking skills and had attempted to escape several times before. Alcatraz was specifically built to incarcerate individuals like him, those with the ability to find ways out of traditional prisons. Orphaned at a young age, Morris grew up in various foster homes and juvenile detention centers. His unstable childhood life toughened him while honing the intelligence and sharpness needed to plan daring escapes. With a criminal record that included armed robbery, drug possession, and several successful escapes, Morris was transferred to Alcatraz in January 1960 after escaping from the Louisiana State Penitentiary. From the moment he arrived, he began thinking of ways to break out. At Alcatraz, Frank Morris was placed near prisoners John and Clarence Anglin, along with Alan West, individuals he had previously encountered at other prisons. With cells adjacent to one another, this group secretly communicated and devised the most meticulously planned escape in U.S. prison history. With his intelligence and experience, Morris took on the leadership role and designed the daring plan that could shake Alcatraz's reputation. Unlike his previous failed escape attempts, Morris and his group spent months carefully chiseling away at the damaged concrete beneath the ventilation hole below the sink in their cells, creating a secret escape route that the prison had no idea about. They secretly obtained metal spoons, used saw blades, and crafted a homemade drill powered by a vacuum cleaner motor to bore through the decaying concrete. Morris even made papier-mâché panels, painted with materials stolen from the library and maintenance room, to conceal their digging activities. To mask the noise from the drilling, Morris took advantage of music hour, playing an accordion, using the sound of the instrument to cover the noise of their secret work. There was nothing random about this plan. Everything was meticulously calculated, demonstrating Morris's exceptional tactical skills. The escape was not just a simple prison break, but a direct challenge to the invincible reputation of Alcatraz. Morris and the Anglin brothers stitched together more than 50 raincoats to create a raft approximately 6 sacks 14 feet and crafted life vests. They even used hot air tubes to seal rubber panels, defying both the laws of gravity and the prison's confinement. They even turned a piece of concertina wire into a makeshift air pump to aid in staying afloat on the water. Although reports claimed they drowned, no bodies were ever found, and a letter from 2013 presented compelling evidence to the contrary. Whether Frank Morris perished in the bay or lived out a secret life in hiding, his escape remains one of the most cunning breakouts in the 30-year history of Alcatraz, proving that even the Rock was not impregnable. John and Clarence Anglin were not just ordinary prisoners. They were brothers deeply bonded through hardships, loyalty, and an intense yearning for freedom. Born into a poor farming family in rural Florida, they grew up in a household with 13 siblings, learning to rely on one another for survival. The strong connection between the two brothers became the solid foundation for the famous escape plan from Alcatraz. Their criminal history, primarily involving bank robberies, landed them in the Atlanta Penitentiary, where their repeated escape attempts caused so much trouble that officials had no choice but to transfer them to Alcatraz, known as the Last Island for the most unruly inmates. It was here that the Anglin brothers reunited with Frank Morris, a man they had previously known from their time in other prisons. The Anglin brothers were placed in adjacent cells to Morris and Alan West, which facilitated secret communication and coordination. While Morris was the mastermind behind the plan, John and Clarence played crucial roles in carrying out essential tasks. For months, they tirelessly dug through the decaying concrete with metal spoons and saw blades. Morris handled the more technical aspects of the operation, while the Anglin brothers focused on logistics and concealing their progress. They crafted papier-mâché panels to cover the ventilation holes and gathered necessary materials from their prison labor duties. These efforts allowed them to equip themselves for the bold escape plan. They also assisted Morris in crafting life vests and a massive raft, approximately 6'14" feet, stitched together from over 50 stolen raincoats. The prison's hot air tubes were used to seal the rubber, while a modified concertina wire served as a makeshift air pump for the raft. Additionally, they were well acquainted with the daily operations of the prison and took advantage of materials accessible through the prison's factory system. Every action was meticulously planned, with the escape route cleverly concealed using fake dummy heads made from soap, toilet paper, and real hair swept from the barbershop floor. Their mysterious disappearance later became one of the most captivating stories in American criminal history. Many pieces of evidence have been presented, supporting the theory that the Anglin brothers may have survived, despite being declared dead in 1979. In addition to the 2013 letter suggesting they were still in hiding, there were Christmas cards sent by the brothers, which were confiscated by the prison, along with a 1975 photograph that seemingly shows them in Brazil. In an interview with the BBC, prison staff and family members recalled the event with a sense of shock and an unusual silence, as there was no sound or alarm raised that night. If the Anglin brothers truly survived, they not only escaped physically, but also overcame a psychological challenge, breaking the invincible image of Alcatraz and its history. The success of the 1962 escape relied not just on digging tunnels or crafting a raft, but also on the ability to create illusions. The lifelike dummy heads made by Morris and the team were so convincing that they fooled the guards during their checks, allowing them to disappear without detection. They were crafted from a strange mixture of soap, toothpaste, and toilet paper, meticulously shaped to resemble sleeping prisoners. The escapees also used stolen paint from the prison maintenance shop to color the dummy heads and attached real hair taken from the barbershop floor. These heads were not only a testament to their intelligence, but also a crucial factor in their success. During the night checks, the guards merely glanced through the small windows without waking the prisoners, and the dummy heads were placed on pillows, partly covered by blankets, creating the perfect illusion of someone asleep. To enhance the realism, they even rolled up clothes and towels under the blankets to mimic the shape of a body. This deception worked so well that it wasn't until the morning of June 12th, during roll call, that the guards noticed something was amiss. By then, the trio had already vanished. The elaborate plan also included secret holes drilled through the walls to create an escape route. The prisoners made use of cardboard and papier-mâché crafted from torn magazine pages taken from the prison library to create covers for the holes they had drilled over the course of several months. These fake covers were cleverly disguised to look exactly like the ventilation grills placed at the back of their cells. The fake grills blended seamlessly with the wall, concealing the open escape route behind. When the guards peered through the cell windows, they only saw the intact ventilation grills, while in reality, behind them was a tunnel leading to freedom. Notably, The skillfulness of this deception reflects a long-standing tradition of psychological warfare behind bars, a craft of trickery honed by those desperate in extreme circumstances. Across the world, tricks and deception have helped break many imprisonments, from letters hidden in hollowed-out books to fake uniforms made from laundered fabric scraps. However, few cases demonstrate the level of sophistication and artistry like the Alcatraz escape plan. FBI Captain Michael Dyke, who was involved in the investigation, remarked, "They didn't just escape, they performed a flawless act," referring to the fact that this breakout required both psychological finesse and physical strength. The escapees created a captivating scene not only for the guards, but for the entire prison system. Their cells became a stage that night, where they transformed into invisible ghosts. But this was just the beginning. The real escape took place beneath the surface, where secrets have yet to be fully revealed. The core of the Alcatraz escape plan was exploiting the weaknesses in the prison's deteriorating structure. Frank Morris, John and Clarence Anglin, along with Alan West, took advantage of the corroded concrete behind the ventilation grills beneath the sinks in their cells. Over the course of several months, this group of prisoners patiently dug through the fragile material using simple yet creative tools. They secretly took metal spoons from the dining area and repurposed old saw blades. Particularly impressive was the homemade drill, crafted from a vacuum cleaner motor, which allowed them to work more efficiently. Little by little, night after night, they persevered in digging tunnels leading to the maintenance corridor, which was unguarded. The success of the escape relied not on physical strength, but on absolute patience and precision like a surgical operation. The prisoners worked with utmost caution to avoid detection, using cardboard and papier-mâché panels to cover the holes during the day. The fake grills were painted to match the wall color, using artistic materials taken from the prison library, making them almost indistinguishable from the surrounding walls. The escapees cleverly timed their breakout to coincide with the daily music hour, when instruments were allowed to play. Morris's distinctive accordion, which was loud and resonant, perfectly masked the sounds of scraping and drilling, turning the entire prison into a secret construction site that went unnoticed. When the holes were wide enough to crawl through, the escapees entered the unguarded maintenance corridor and climbed to the top floor of the prison, where they set up a secret workshop. Here they stored materials and continued to refine the remaining parts of their escape plan, including the raft and paddles. Access to this area was made easier by the prison's deteriorating condition, as it was built on the foundation of ancient military fortifications. Some former prisoners and investigators later recalled that the foundations of Alcatraz were decayed and cracked, providing the men with the opportunity to work in the old maintenance tunnels without being detected. One of the final crucial steps was reaching the ventilation hole at the top of the building. They climbed about 30 feet by gripping water pipes and removing the vent cover. To avoid suspicion, they made a fake belt from soap and sealed the vent back up. Once again, this was a meticulous precaution. When the time came, the escapees successfully created a complex path from their cells to the roof. Their plan was not just about escaping, it was about exploiting the very weaknesses that had been overlooked in the prison, its deterioration over time and its inherent design, turning them into tools that helped them break free. As a result, They accomplished what no one had ever done before: a stealthy, meticulous escape from the Rock, the raft made of raincoats in the freezing waters of the bay. After completing the tunnel and navigating the upper levels of the prison, Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers still face the toughest challenge: the cold, violent waters of San Francisco Bay. The water temperature in this area ranges from 10 to 13 degrees Celsius, with strong and unpredictable currents, contributing to Alcatraz's reputation as unbreachable. However, Morris and the Anglin brothers were not simply escaping from their cells. They were attempting to break free from a fortress in the middle of the sea. To do so, they crafted a raft and life vests out of more than 50 stolen raincoats, demonstrating their resilience and creativity. The raft, measuring about 6.14 feet, was assembled in a makeshift workshop the prisoners set up on the prison's rooftop. The raincoats were sewn together using thread from the prison's work areas, and the seams were sealed by melting rubber using the prison's air duct system. They used a concertina, similar to a small accordion, as a makeshift air pump to inflate the raft. The paddles were also handcrafted from plywood pieces collected during work assignments. All necessary items for navigating the cold bay waters were carefully hidden. After months of meticulous preparation, the trio arrived at the northeastern shore of the island on the night of June 11, 1962. They inflated the raft and released it into the darkness, beginning their journey to Angel Island, less than 2 miles away. The escape unfolded quietly throughout the night, but traces began to surface. On June 14th, the Coast Guard found a paddle, and on the same day, a package of personal belongings belonging to the Anglin brothers was discovered. A week later, pieces of the raft and a homemade life jacket washed up near the Golden Gate Bridge, but there were no traces of the escapees. Many officials, including prison director Richard Willard, still believed the group had drowned. In an interview with the BBC, he asked, "Did you hear the wind? Did you see the water?" However, Chambers argued that the craftsmanship of the raft and the precision of the plan indicated a high likelihood that they had survived. Subsequent scientific analyses confirmed that if they had chosen the right tidal window, escaping the bay was entirely feasible. Whether swept away by the currents or having truly made it to freedom, the raft made from raincoats remains the most creative symbol of defiance against the most secure prison ever built in the United States. In 2013, more than half a century after the dramatic escape, a new development brought the Alcatraz mystery back into the spotlight. A letter, allegedly from John Anglin, was sent to the San Francisco Police Department stating, "I escaped from Alcatraz on the night of June 1962. Yes, we all got out that night, just barely." The letter revealed that Frank Morris had passed away in 2005, Clarence Anglin died in 2008, and John was suffering from a serious illness and was willing to negotiate surrender in exchange for medical care. This message sparked a new wave of speculation, forcing law enforcement agencies to reconsider a case that had long been thought to be closed. The FBI quietly reopened the investigation. The letter was sent for forensic examination, including handwriting analysis, fingerprint checks, and DNA testing, to verify the authenticity of the confession. However, despite their efforts, the results were inconclusive. The handwriting did not perfectly match Anglin or Morris's known samples, and no fingerprints or DNA were found to confirm the letter's validity. This ambiguity left the case in a state of uncertainty, teetering between belief and skepticism. The letter certainly grabbed attention and raised questions about its truthfulness, but there was a lack of concrete evidence to confirm it definitively. The public only became aware of the letter's existence in 2018 when local CBS station KPIX reported on it. The timing and content of the letter, combined with decades of doubt and claims from the family, reignited the flames of a mystery that seemed to have faded into obscurity. Even before the letter was sent, the Anglin family had claimed to have received Christmas cards from the two brothers, along with a controversial photograph from 1975, allegedly showing John and Clarence in Brazil. The contents of the letter, with hints that they were still alive, moving through various states, and living a life in hiding, could be the most convincing evidence suggesting that the escape might have been successful. U.S. law enforcement continues to monitor the case and has expanded the investigation. In 2022, they released aging simulation images of Morris and the Anglin brothers, calling on the public to provide new information. Some investigators believe they died in the bay, but many argue that there are still too many unresolved mysteries to conclude that the case is closed. Whether it was a genuine confession or a clever ruse, the 2013 letter brought the legendary Alcatraz story back into the spotlight and perhaps brought us closer to the truth than any letter before it. What makes the 2013 letter particularly fascinating is how it taps into the larger cultural allure surrounding missing criminals and unsolved legends. In an era of strict surveillance and nearly indelible digital footprints, the disappearance of 3 people after committing a crime, vanishing into the shadows for decades, has almost become a legend. This echoes the romanticized tales of notorious criminals like D.B. Cooper or Billy the Kid, icons of popular culture. As Michael Dyke, a former U.S. Marshal, shared in a 2016 interview, "When the underdog beats the system, everyone is drawn to the mystery. This allure isn't just about the possibility of their survival, but also reflects the philosophy that even within a rigid system, there are cracks where freedom can be found and escape is possible." When the trail seemed to have grown cold, science uncovered things that the legend had never been able to prove. For decades, the common belief among prison authorities and federal investigators was that Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers could not have survived their escape from Alcatraz. The cold and powerful waters of San Francisco Bay were considered an insurmountable natural barrier. Prison director Richard Willard expressed this view in a 1964 interview with the BBC, where he skeptically asked, "Do you think they could have made it?" Like many people at the time, he believed that even if the men had left the island, the waters would have swallowed them up. This belief became the foundation for the FBI officially closing the case in 1979, declaring that the escapees had legally died. However, in the years that followed, this traditional view was challenged by new scientific research. In 2014, a team of Dutch scientists used modern computer simulation technology to recreate the tidal conditions on the night of June 11, 1962. They found that if the escapees had launched their raft between 11 p.m. and midnight, aligning with the estimated time frame, the currents could have carried them close to Angel Island. This model contradicts the long-held belief that the waters surrounding Alcatraz were insurmountable and opens up the possibility of survival if the timing was calculated precisely. These findings reignited interest and helped clarify long-standing rumors and reports of doubt that had persisted for decades. After the publication of the Dutch team's study, the 2013 letter claiming that the men had survived and been in hiding for many years reignited attention. Along with evidence such as the recovered paddles, personal items, and pieces of the raft, it is now believed that they may have reached the shore safely. The escape was not only physically feasible, but also very likely to have succeeded, based on the detailed and meticulous preparation the group demonstrated throughout their plan. As evidence and scientific research continued to be added to the case, the U.S. Marshals remained skeptical, believing that criminals like Morris and the Anglin brothers would have difficulty living a peaceful, law-abiding life. However, the case file has not been completely closed. In 2022, age progression photos of the three men were released, showing that law enforcement remains persistent in tracking down the fugitives' whereabouts. The Alcatraz escape remains one of America's most intriguing unsolved mysteries, a story where truth and speculation continue to vie for dominance. Beyond relying on tide charts and forensic studies, the curiosity surrounding the Alcatraz escape reflects something deeper in American culture: the intense desire to overcome the system and conquer boundaries that seem unbreakable. These theories make us reconsider the true purpose of Alcatraz. Was it merely a prison for the most hardened criminals? Or was it part of a larger plan, where global power struggles were being plotted? Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Click on the next video appearing on your screen to explore more fascinating content.